before I used to run the business typical setter, closer, call model. So I had the big audience context. I had the big audience, maybe had like 200,000 followers on Twitter. And I got people into the list when I did typical calls.
Let's start from the top. Let's start from the top. How many people did you have?
You mean clients?
No, how much team did you have?
Yeah, I had, I want to say 6 coaches.
Yeah.
3 setters, 1 sales manager, 1 closer, 3 VAs, 2 VAs. No, 3 VAs. It was 3.
14.
And what?
That's 14 so far.
Yeah, and a partner. Call it 15.
So you had 1 partner and 14 team members.
Yep.
Wow, I didn't even know it was that high.
It was high.
I remember you sending me a spreadsheet, but it was a lot. So
at the highest, that was it.
Yeah, what's the team now?
Me and my VA against the world. Christian and me.
Super good. I'm gonna you know my skills in drawing on iPads, so I'm just trying to take notes for the people. So 1 plus a VA.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
What were the dollars before? What was the rev?
So revenue was fluctuating. It would fluctuate between maybe 80 and 120. At its highest, it was 150.
Yeah. So 80 to 150. Pretty good.
Yeah, what I took home from that, it was like 20, sometimes 30.
Yeah.
Because the costs were high and I had to split it halfway. So I had maybe at the highest, it was 58,000 in costs. Maybe normally it would be like 40. And then I would have to split it in half with Ryan because he was the operations guy. I say that he was in charge of business, I was in charge of show business.
Yes. Yeah.
So I got leads in, he kind of operated the thing. I didn't get much FaceTime with the people. So like, to be fair, Ryan's help was amazing because he allowed me to kind of step away a little bit from the business, but I still didn't get much FaceTime with the folks. And I don't know, like I felt like I was just getting the sales in, and then they kind of got put into this machine, this JK less machine.
But you
So
were
like
still
they
the face
bought
of the
JK.
business. That was like the interesting thing, so much came from Twitter and those pieces, so you were the face of it. Like, what was it like being the face of something but not really being inside it?
The idea of it was very romantic.
Yeah.
Get people in, they take care of the thing. But I want to be really careful because, like, of course, like I was helping the clients and like the business was set up and I'm still really good friends with Ryan. I will say though that they bought JK, but they got me as 1/6. It was 1/6 of me because there were other coaches in the team, right? So it created kind of this weird dynamic, which I did say enunciated that my clients were my priority, but I also had to run the other show in which I had to get clients. So the actions didn't really align with what was going on. Because if clients were my priority, why am I dedicating 95% of my time to get clients instead of servicing the clients?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there was a huge discrepancy there.
I think too, in my experience, you need operational discipline, and whether you learn it yourself by doing, which is like the long road to do it, or you get given it by buying it, by getting a partner who's really good at it, the outcome is like you needed to go through a period of having operational discipline so you know what systems look like, you know what those things look like, so you can then decide whether they are for you and you want to run in that structure or you don't. If you're going like, well, now I understand how to operate something, you can decide what operating looks like, which is where you are now. So what's the rev at the moment?
I can tell you exactly. So this out of 28 days of May, we're at 93K. net volume. Out of those 93K, what I count more, the number that's more worth it to me now is the MRR. So the MRR is 73.9. So call it 74. 74K recurring. So that's the number I'm proud of. More than the other one.
Nice. And you won't know your exact profit number to the end of the month, but let's just say your costs are quite a bit less than they were.
My cost will be maybe like three to four, because it's Christian, it's 1,500. That's my VA. And plus all the software and stuff.
Nice. So this is in the period of 7 months, right? In terms of
9.
end to end, 9 months. Congrats, man.
Thank you.
How does it feel going into a month with recurring revenue? Because you've been on the other side of it. Like, how does it feel, mentally, emotionally, to go into a month with 73, 74 grand on the board?
It feels, the pressure is still there, but it's in a different place. I'll say that. Because now the pressure is kind of where I want it to be, which is because the nature of the way we do things is no contracts. People don't have to stay, people choose to stay, which leads to better clients. But we can talk about that in another note. But the pressure now is in, how do I make my stuff better? The pressure's in the art.
Yeah.
What workshop do I create? Like, I didn't think about this shit before. Like an hour before we got on this call, I was thinking, what are the next workshops? How can I deliver something that they want?
Mm-hmm.
Before, the focus was on, okay, how do I get more clients? Which is not really what you want it to be. Like, product is king. I believe that. So the pressure now, it's there, and I like it. I spend a lot of time on my workshops. I put a lot of work into it and make the docs really comprehensive. But at the end, I feel like that was a job well done. The pressure is where I want it to be. So I like it.
Nice. So talking about clients, like, how do you serve them now? What were you selling before?
You mean the offer or the deliverables?
Yeah, what was the main offer?
The offer was get to 30K. Get 30K a month. And the deliverables were get in a group onboarding call, right? And then you get like coaching calls, Slack, typical stuff. Really.
Yeah.
And what was it now? Is that a question?
Yeah, what were you selling that for?
That was 2K a month for a 12-month commitment. And what we found was that closing people on the call was like not as hard with the closers. What was hard was getting people to book the call.
Yeah.
That was harder than getting people to close.
So you had book. Did you have you had a setter? Did you have a triage, or did you do a 2-call close or a 1?
I did a 2-call. So people would join and they'll enjoy the sign up page and they would have a number, and the setter would call them, then book them with the closer. It would take maybe 1 or 2 calls. And then so we also had DM setters that I kind of saw it as a hunter-gatherer model. So the gatherer were the posts, which gathered likes, reposts, comments. And then the hunter was the setter who would DM everyone with their script and then get them to book.
Yeah. So lots of steps.
A few. Lots of stress sometimes, because then I'll get up in like weird situations in which maybe they messaged a previous client, somebody I wasn't like in super good terms with, and then I'd get into like awkward situations.
Yeah. The thing is, it works, right? But it's got lots of dependencies. You got to get the leads in the first place. You've got to book the calls. Then the setters have got to have enough people to go at in terms of audience size. Then you've got to get them to turn up to a triage. Then you've got to get them to turn up to the second call, and then you've got to get them to close. So if any of the steps break down, then it's the difference between a good week and a bad one, right?
Yeah. It got me fixing a lot of the little things instead of the big things, because I would get mad at my team sometimes. I'd be like, guys, why are we not closing anyone? Like, you guys are getting on calls, you're not closing them. And I was fixing kind of the upper things instead of the main thing, which was like my marketing just kind of sucked. So because I had so many steps, it kind of hid where is the problem. I couldn't see where is the problem. Now with like we can talk about the new model, but I now kind of know where the problem is if I
Mhm.
see it. It's not enough offers, the gut offer is not good enough, or I can fix it, right? Before there were so many steps that if something broke, I had to kind of like open the machine, which took a long time and I didn't know what to fix.
Yeah, yeah, lots of dependencies. So has the promise changed, or are you still selling the same promise?
The promise has changed. So we changed it to add 20K.
Okay.
Um, add
So
20K instead of get
what's
to
the thinking
30.
around that? Like, because I mean, we've had these conversations, but for the benefit of the audience, what's the thinking around add 20K versus get to?
Uh, it attracts people who may be above 20.
Mhm.
So that's what's interesting. Getting to 30 was outperformed by add 20 because it would get just people who maybe they are at 20 and they want to add 40. I feel like it got them, I feel it got a better quality of lead. But what you gave me that really got the lead quality up more than the part of the offer was when you told me it's not the goal, it's how you get there. And this happened actually in May. I didn't share this, but I got 3 clients that make more money than me in May.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes no sense, right? Because my offer is about, well, money. But I got 3 clients that make more money than me. And they showed up to a call saying, listen, bro, I'm making 400K a month. I'm doing great. But my costs are really high and I need your help making this more profitable. What do I do?
Yeah.
And they came to me because not so much me focusing on the promise really hasn't changed. And at 20K is not really a very unique promise. A lot of people offer this, but it's the way you get there through the identity and the mechanisms. By showing people your philosophy, you attract people that are above it. So when you posted that thing in the school that I liked was how to attract higher level leads. You turn liabilities into assets. I thought about the ads that I have here about cars, right? So I thought a bad ad would be something about make 30K. A good ad would be something like take the old piece of junk you got parked in your garage and turn it into 30K by the end of the month. So you show them how to turn liabilities into assets. Will you attract people, less people? Yeah. But I mean, you want people who have a car,
Yeah.
right? Who can afford something like this.
Yeah.
So it really got, dude, that post changed me because I thought, how can I then turn liabilities into assets? Do I turn what they have into something that they don't? Whereas marketing before was how do you turn something you don't into something you have? I changed it now. How do you turn something you have into something you don't? I flipped it and it turned into a better quality of lead. So that's why I changed the offer.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, because if you talk to what someone already has and they're dissatisfied with, then you're talking, that's a pre-qualification for the lead, right? Whereas everybody really wants, you could largely say everybody wants another 30K. But when someone already has 30K or more, then they're much more discerning and picky about how they're going to get the next bit because they know the downsides of getting it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a beautiful
So,
insight.
it is a
And
beautiful insight. And
you move to a weekly pricing. Talk about that.
I did move to weekly pricing because of what I call prospect inertia. So the more money someone gives you, the more money they are likely to give you.
Yeah.
So what I found was that it's customers to clients rebranded, right? But people would take leads and turn them into clients. That's kind
We're
of
all
the
standing
usual
on the
model.
shoulders of giants here, right?
That's
It's
right.
fine.
That's right. That's right.
It all flows up.
That's right. For the record, James Kemp invented the week, the concept of the week.
I invented weekly payments and money. I'll have you know.
Yes. Yes, correct. So anyway, the usual model is take people from leads to clients, right? What I found was that it was really hard. And my stuff is like likes in cash. Likes in cash came from like real pains of people who have, there's a story of a guy making 80,000 followers in the financial niche, like wealth management, and he couldn't afford the 1K a month service. I'm like, dude, like you have 80K followers. Like, what's wrong with you, right? So anyway, uh, this inefficiencies happen often because we ask too much from the audience. We ask them to go from lead to client. And the more money someone gives you, the more money they're likely to give you. If somebody give you zero, it's unlikely that will give you 1K, 2, 3K a month. So when you introduce a process in the middle, like a one-time offer, 50, 100, $300, that allows them to be introduced to who you are because they don't really know you from your content, but once they pay something and they're there with you, they have the experience of what it's like to be served by you.
Yeah.
So by including that, you just get more clients, right? And if you wanted to remove the calls, what I found most efficient to be was it's as simple as it sounds, just do weekly instead of monthly. I remember your stuff back when I joined the syndicate. I think it was 1K a month. And I was thinking like, "Ah, man, like 1K a month, I'm already in this other stuff." But then you said, "But JK, did you know that you could also join for 250 a week?" I'm like,
The now
that sounds
number,
like such a good offer.
the now
So
number,
compelling.
because it's just 250, right? You got 250 now? That's what we're asking, really, isn't it? Just
Right?
let's get started. Let's go. And then they're
Yeah.
in motion, as you say. Beautiful.
Yeah. It made sense because I got into the typical funnel, right? So it's like I saw you on Facebook, then I got into the $100 workshop, and then the 250. It made sense, like 0, 100, 250. It was easy. It didn't have much friction.
Yeah.
So now that I saw how the magic trick is done, now I'm like, oh, I get it now. It's cool.
Yeah. So I mean, let's talk about that because you sit, in the same place as me with the wonderful privilege of serving people. Like you just spent a lot of time thinking about your next workshop. Like why? You know, why is the thing that you deliver important?
So let's talk workshop. I think let's call it three reasons. One is a little negative. The two are quite positive. Let's talk about the little negative. Little negative is that because we don't do contracts, or I don't do contracts, if I stop delivering, then people just don't see a future, they're out.
Mhm.
So why am I thinking of this now? We're recording this on May 28th. It's because at the beginning of the month, I like to tell people, like being a leader, and tell them this is what's going on in June on the next month. That reduces churn. So that's a negative. What's the other positive? What are the two positives? The two positives is that I can sell it. So uh kind of the way I articulate this is before I used to create to get paid, whereas now I get paid to create.
Yeah.
So how does this work? I have 2 workshops-ish a month that I host for clients. People then can buy a one-time ticket to those. I'm going to do this anyway, but people can buy a one-time ticket to those. Last time I did this was I put up, well, I say I, but actually Christian did it. Shout out to Christian, my VA. He collected my 90 best emails that have converted, and I sold it as a 90 days of offer swipe file. That was an asset I wanted to give clients because some of them were asking, how do I write faster? So I collected those so they could swipe them. Well, Christian did it, and I sold tickets to it. 118 people bought at $90
Yeah.
for the 90 days of offer swipe file. So that's like $10,620 that I got for work I was going to do anyway. So that's the beauty of the workshops. It aligns incentives because I know that if I make the workshop good, I'm going to sell people on it. If I make the workshop good, also clients are going to benefit from it. And if I make the workshop good, which leads to the third benefit, I can then use it as a way to make the delivery faster and simpler. In the beginning, I struggled with the one-on-one onboarding call because I had to explain things from scratch. I couldn't just say, watch this and implement the 3 steps I have at the end of the doc. I had to explain it and tell them the 3 steps.
Yeah.
Now my calls, instead of going through the hour, sometimes one went to 2 hours actually. Instead of that, I can just tell them, this is the pieces that you're missing. Go through training A, B, and C, and then you will be okay. It gives them quick clarity. And if I explain them why they need to watch them, I can shorten the delivery time and I can just reference to assets that I've already created.
Beautiful.
So these are the beauty of workshops for me.
Yeah. So it's just, the customers to clients model depends on you deliver a workshop on a couple of dates to a client, solving problems that clients have and serving them. Then you monetize that for $90. You make 10K, and then you invite those people to become clients, and the cycle continues.
Yeah. Oh, and a fourth benefit, now that I see this, it reduces offer fatigue. You taught me this. When people know what you're going to say, they stop listening.
Yeah.
So if you always keep promoting your core offer like over and over again, eventually just people get ad blindness. They don't know. They know what you're going to say, so they stop listening. But when you add a workshop in between, then it's like, you know how bodybuilders confuse the muscle? You confuse the audience. They don't know what to expect. And because you take offers down and up, it allows them to hit harder when they're up. So that's another benefit of including workshops inside your offer cadence.
Yeah. The fifth benefit, if you want to get real deep on it, is that people look at an audience as, you know, pain aware, problem aware, or solution aware. But that's kind of in the macro of your total solution of, I want to become a solo consultant who makes $1 million a year or whatever. There are also people who are solution aware on a particular problem. So your last workshop was on what, the templates that you'd use to, you know, do something. There are people who are solution aware looking for those templates to execute on something. So they were at the bottom of the funnel for that solution. And then you move them from solution aware in one element of, you know, the templates into solution aware of your systems and your method. So it actually moves people down a funnel and actually crosses the funnel as well, because and that's why we get, like, you know, 118 people, 118 customers out of an audience of, like, you know, a few thousand is a hell of a percentage.
I'm going to give you two statistics that are going to really nail this point. 80% of my clients have bought a workshop from me before.
Mm-hmm.
Is it to say that if they didn't buy a workshop, they wouldn't have become clients? No. But hey, it helped, you know, 80%. Now, here's another interesting thing. I have around 240,000 followers across all socials. Most of my money comes from 522 people who have given me more than $0. It is the hyper focus of people who are actually willing to take their credit card and pay that gave me a lot of, oh man, it allowed me to stop being fucking petty. Like always focusing on leads and shit and like always chasing and be like, let me not expose myself to that. Like I know I need to do some inner work and some Buddhism stuff so that won't affect me. I don't want to do that right now. I could just focus on the people who already paid. And because I hyper focus on this 522, they make me more than the 240,000 other people.
Yeah, my argument to all of you guys that I keep saying is it's not the 239,000 people who are going to waste your time and waste your energy. It's not so much the people that you're focused on who have demonstrated intent. It's the efficiency of not focusing and chasing 239,000 people and not catering to the whims and needs of people who aren't actually going to buy. Because success is through elimination of the things you're not going to do that get in the way of the essential things that you must do. And the essential things you must do is understand why someone gave you $90 and why someone was interested in that particular piece, and then invite them to become a client because they might have another problem to solve.
Done. Also on this, so thinking about that, like a lot of the energy we leak are in, it's like let's draw a line and let's see like how close, like the line goes into how much, what your most expensive thing is. We focus so much of our energy on people who are furthest away from that line, leads, new followers, and sometimes we don't remember prospect inertia. Again, the more money someone gives you, the more money they are likely to give you. So I make as much from 60 clients, or what is it? Almost as much from 70 clients as I make from 10. Why? Because I took that advice and thought, why am I focusing on these people that are so further away from the line and not focusing on the people who have already paid me? So what I did was what you did with me. I thought, okay, who are the guys that I think could do better here?
Yeah.
Let me craft this small Google Doc and ask them, would you like to join this other offer that's 2-3 times as expensive? I sent it to maybe 15. 5 of them agreed. And I turned from a 250 a week to 500 a week and one guy to 750 a week from a pool of 15 people because I picked the right pool.
Yeah.
So a lot of money to be made from the people who already gave you money.
Yeah, the power law of your customers is like that, right? In terms of where the dollars are. The 80/20 rule, the 95/5 rule is very much present in terms of client serving businesses about who gives you the most money. That is a graph, by the way, that I drew just for clarity. That's a graph.
It's also so much easier, man. Like before it used to be like, okay, get them to engage, get them to book a call, get them to show up, get them to do the follow-up, stay, and then another retention call. Now it's just like, hey, new offer, Google Doc, in, out, done. 3 messages in between. Like so much easier. It's also like the more money they're likely to give you, it is also the less headaches they're likely to give you because it's just they already know you. There's so much trust. You could just go like this.
Yeah, I think it's a useful frame in terms of, this is a sales process. This is a process with multiple steps, and many people are finding this pretty expensive. Filling the funnel, getting people to turn up, and everything. This is an invitation process for people who've already given you money, inviting them to give you more money to solve specific problems that you've specified in the path to there, because there's a clear outcome between what you're offering and what you're asking and what you're promising to get done, and the relative investment that you're asking to make.
You said something
So
that I
in the
really like.
process of, in the process of us working together, I'm a kind of mechanism guy. How have you, you've done a particularly good job at making things your own? Like philosophically, this business looks like mine, right? But it's yours. How have you done that? Because a lot of people struggle with that. Like, how have you made these mechanisms your own, and the identity that you've crafted in public as well to differentiate?
It had to come from the past. Like when I think about these mechanisms, I need to look not to the future, but to the past. Like there was a reason why I was attracted to this spot in the first place. And that reason included a lot of cigarettes, a lot of stress, and a lot of late nights that I didn't want. It was me thinking in the past on why am I interested in this? Like why did this come to be? My own personal story is I had a big account, but I was broke. So what you call audience efficiency, I call likes and cash.
Yeah.
What you call maybe the sovereign consultant, I call the cash creator. Because the sovereign consultant was something that you needed to do because of what happened in your life. Me becoming the cash creator, me understanding the likes and cash is something I needed to do. So in order to make them my own, I didn't think how I'm doing things now. I had to think to the past and why was I interested in this and what was my own unique story? Because the moment I try to like kind of, if this has a shade of something that is not true, it stinks and people get it.
Yeah.
So it has to come from the story. It has to come from something that you like. It almost hurts. Like I don't want to assume here, but maybe the sovereign consultant came from pain. Maybe Lexing Cash came from, I know Lexing Cash came from pain. So it has to come from a true place in order for it to like really hit. So you have to look to the past. Why is this uniquely yours? And then once you take that kind of stance from what happened in the past,
yeah,
when you look to the future, you will be able to paint the stuff in your own color.
Yeah, beautiful. And because from observationally, when you switched from talking to creators to crafting this identity of cash creators, what happened? Because observationally, there was a very distinct shift in the marketplace in terms of how they perceived you and how they perceived what you were going to do for them.
It was, oh my God, it was a Me Too moment. Because it was people saying, dude, like, you're right. All this stuff that we've been taught, like, not everyone, but a lot of them were like, dude, you know what? Yeah, that's kind of bullshit. Like, it was people, for me, one of some things that I seriously disagree with is give everything away for free, give all of your value away for free. So me being able to say cash creators don't do that, because honestly, I've done this thing for 4 years and it didn't work. It gave people kind of a place to say, dude, me too. So that happened a lot. Also, it polarized people. I didn't understand this at first because I don't know, maybe I feel like some people see the world in color. I see the world sometimes in lines, as in this doesn't make sense. That's why I like kind of strayed away from all the woo-woo stuff. So when you told me you gotta go harder on the identity piece, I'm like, dude, but like why? Like people don't use this thing. You're like, yeah, just trust me, right? So I went hard on the cash creator thing. And to my surprise, people would join my stuff just because they said, I just want to become a cash creator.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the cash creator isn't real, Whaleblade isn't real, Value versus Insight isn't real, but I make them real.
Yeah.
So it's almost like I didn't get it at first, and maybe like some people won't get it, but it's like that whole thing of you are the niche. It really is, like you said, marketing on steroids, because then the only way, if somebody resonates with a fraction of the things you created with your identity, the only way they can relieve that anxiety and scratch that itch is by becoming one of them. And the only way they can become one of them is they have to pay you. And that makes it
You
easier.
you are building a monopoly, you know, and competition erodes profits and monopoly keeps them, you know, and creates them. So you've fundamentally built a monopoly on the idea of a cash creator, and no one, that's a monopoly that the government can't come and take away from you either, because it's an idea that people attach to. And the become piece is the crucial bit, isn't it? You know, they're telling you who they want to become because you've built a vision for them, you know, and you've forgiven their past as well. You haven't said, oh, you're dumb, you're stupid, that don't, you've said, these are the flaws with doing it this way. These are the benefits of doing it my way. And here's the invitation that bridges the gap. It's beautiful.
Sometimes it depends, you know, like sometimes the difference between a failing and a successful marketing campaign is how confident you are the moment you say it. It's like when you were in high school and you told a joke, but nobody heard it, but somebody else said it confidently, and now he's the cat and he stole it. Sometimes that is the difference. Sometimes I'll come up with stuff that are half cooked, but because I say it with confidence, people believe it. So the cash creator, there is a world in which I don't say that confidently and it sounds corny,
Yeah.
right? But because you believe it, people believe it. Sometimes you said this, clients borrow your confidence.
I also, the half-life of the idea matters. And the most impressive thing about you is that when we have a conversation, if you get the insight, you will go and execute in that moment. So I distinctly remember the conversation about cash creators. We didn't even complete our scheduled however long we had together. And you were like, cool, bam. And I think I saw you tweet or post on Instagram about it or email maybe within 30 minutes of that conversation happening. And the idea from inception to execution and the response is the commitment to that, and the response was immediate, and then you built on it. So it's also, it's not just confidence, it's the speed of the idea, because if the idea hangs out there for too long, then someone else is going to come and take it because it's a good idea.
Yeah, like speed can definitely kill, but speed can also save you.
Yeah.
So when I have a moment, especially with writing, because all the things we deal in scientific terms, like specific numbers. How much did you make? What's the profit percentage, right? But sometimes you gotta let go of the scientific to like believe the subjective, and no, not the subjective, but believe kind of the woo woo. So to me, woo woo things I believe in: write fast, inspiration is perishable, act when you have it. Naval said that, and just put it out there. Like sometimes just for the fact that you're willing to lead, people are willing to follow. So you don't really need to think it too much. You know how like sometimes like people don't know if they should cross the street, right? But then one guy crosses it and then everybody crosses it, right? Sometimes you just have to be the guy that crosses it.
Sure.
And you need speed for that.
Yeah. How much do you think your consistent social posting and content creation helps with that? Because you and I and, you know, some people in our community get a lot more swings at bat than that, because you can tweet multiple times a day, you can post on Instagram multiple times, you can email as much as you like. Like, how do you think about training that muscle? Because that's very strong in you as well, because you are like a few of us in terms of prolific and content
Yeah.
creation.
Yeah, for me, it's I have very low expectations on myself when I write, but
Mhm.
high expectations when I edit. So my habit is, and I picked this up since I was learning how to write in English. I my first language is Spanish, but I didn't really know like how to do stuff in English. So I bought a course, and I don't remember what the course said except for 500 words a day every morning, even if they suck. So I said, okay, do it. And I started with that habit. And often when I find that I'm like struggling with like writer block and like I don't know what to do, sometimes I find that I have too high expectations of myself. So some of my best content have come after I literally write, this is probably going to suck, but so I have really low expectations and I just get it done. Put a timer in 10 minutes if that helps. I don't put timers, but I have it useful to just be like, this is probably going to suck. I put it on the page, then I rest and then come back with a fresher mind later because the hard part is putting it on the page. Like the heaviest weight at the gym is the front door. The toughest thing to write is just you just gotta sit down.
Yeah, yeah. How long? I mean, you're much younger than me, but how long did it take you to develop that muscle?
Maybe like 3 months.
Impressive.
Yeah. I mean, it was COVID. There was nothing else to do. I was on my computer anyway, so I guess kind of a hack.
Very cool. So, what's next? I mean, I know the goal. What's the This is going to be a record month.
It is. It already is. I think so. No, I'm 0.3% away from it being a record month, but inshallah. Now, what is next? Get to that point, but I ask you this, James, what the hell do I do with my time?
Mhm.
It's like I have a lot of time now, right? So what is next? And I feel like what's next, it's kind of understanding what areas I should grow in. That's not just business. I have to kind of resist the habit of just going there and refreshing notifications and see what's broken because maybe nothing's broken, right? Maybe there's other areas of your business that are broken, like maybe the relationships that I didn't cultivate, like the time I didn't spend with people that I loved. So now it's what is next is just something I didn't learn for the past 4 years that I finally learned is just don't change the plan. Just stick to the plan. But maybe there's other things that I can grow that is not just my business. And now I feel like I've created enough space and I've earned enough space so that I can grow in other areas. So what's next? It's survival chapter is over. The next step is kind of I want to call it kind of the personal chapter, like seeing what calls, seeing where do I need to go next personally in my life. Maybe not business. I just have to like keep going through the path.
Yeah, the question few ask is who do I need to become to make the goal inevitable? And you've understood that keeping the boundaries and constraints as you've reduced down the you've made the business much less complex and you've made the business have a lot fewer moving parts and you've got strong boundaries in terms of where you spend your time in the business. And then the constraints of spending the time on yourself and being the person to become to maximize the leverage that you've built because that will come because the model allows for it. The model
Yeah.
allows for you to do that without breaking the boundaries and the constraints you've got. So perversely, it gets easier. So you must be the person to be able to manage no and be able to to keep things on the table when many want to take it off out of desperation.
Yeah. Now it's I don't like I still work a lot. I spend a lot of time sitting down and thinking, but now I do it in the things I want.
Yeah.
So like it's not like I don't have kids. It's not like I don't want to pretend like I have the same time demands as you do. But to me now, it allowed me to transition into my art. And this is huge for me because I feel like I started this journey. Picasso said that his best works were the ones when he started. And I'm not comparing myself to Picasso, but I felt that because I thought, dude, my best writing was when I started and I barely wrote good English.
Yeah.
And I feel like in the beginning, I was a writer and I truly today, like if you ask me what am I will say writer. I felt like I was a writer who happened to do coaching, but at some point I shifted and I became a coach who happened to write. And that is when my writing went to shit because I wasn't doing it for the art.
Yeah.
And now, like, I'm back. I'm a writer who happens to coach, and I find a lot of joy in like you pulling on my iPad, doing it with like my shitty handwriting and putting out concepts into the world because I feel like now I created the space so that I can become not like the business guy, but the artist that really like that fulfills me. It's writing. I'm the writer who happens to coach away from the coach who happens to write, which I don't want to be in a position ever again.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for doing it. It's great to see people following their artistic passion with the scientific method. So congrats on the numbers, my friend.
And thank you for everything, man. Like giving an instrumental, really helpful. Uh Honestly, like I was talking to my girl, like there's no really reason why I would go to any other like there's no real reason why I would go to Bali because I'm like I was I was born in a tropical country, grew up there. I have like nice beaches and stuff. But James would be a reason I would go to Bali just to meet the guy, just hang out sometime.
Come and hang out. My house is always open for you.
Right on. Well, thank you for your teachings. Thank you for having me do this. Let's keep going.
Thank you so much.